G'day, my name's Russell Whiteford and I'm one of the trainers here at Geelong's gym, and today I'm just going to talk to you about the process of getting started and what I normally do with a lot of my clients who are just starting out in the gym. Now, oftentimes people come in and we go through an initial assessment and people aren't too sure about what exercise is going to look like for them. They just know that they want to do something. And there's a general process that I go through with a lot of clients that are starting out, and that involves, once we go through the first assessment, we go through 4 exercises and then we try to progress or regress depending on where they're at as a starting point. So the first 4 exercises that I generally like to do with clients is some form of squatting exercise, and what that'll look like is we often hold a weight or add some resistance to the squat just in front, maybe like a kettlebell, and we're just checking technique, a proper squatting technique. Now what I'm looking for when they come down into their squat is that where they're distributing their weight, whether they're leaning forward, whether they're leaning back, whether they can keep a slight lumbar curve in their lower back or whether they're rounding over, and whether or not they're pushing up using their glutes, okay? And then we can see from there whether there's hip imbalances, whether there's alignment through the spine throughout the whole movement. The second exercise that we do is some form of hinging exercise, which is hinging from the hips and keeping a nice straight back and bending out. So it's kind of like a stiff-legged deadlift. And a lot of people, this is just used as an assessment to see how they can hold their posture and whether they can keep the correct form. Next exercise, or the next 2 that we do, is some form of push movement and some form of pull movement. A push movement that I like to do with a lot of people is a Bosu push-up, and we can hop down onto the ground, we can get a nice straight body and put our weight over the top of the Bosu, and then lower our chest down to the Bosu and push up. Okay, and what I'm looking for with this exercise again is whether or not they can have core control. So that's whether they can keep a straight back or they're going down and they've got an excessive lumbar arch, so a curve through their lower back, whether or not they're collapsing through their chest or they've got adequate shoulder stability. So an example of doing it poorly would be dropping down your head and your chest and struggling to take the weight onto your arms. So I'm looking that they can keep their shoulders retracted and down, and then they can push through using their chest muscles. Okay, and the last exercise that we do is some form of pull exercise or pull movement. Oftentimes we might use something like these straps, and we will get them into a position like this where they're pulling in and pulling the shoulders back behind and pulling their elbows back behind their body. So out and in. And what I'm looking for here is that they can hold tight the posterior part of their body, which is down through the back, right through their upper and middle back, through their glutes, and keep their weight through their heels. I'm also looking for clients to move their shoulder blades back and down, and not to be over excessively using their traps, so not to be pulling up like this. All right, so this is the correct action. So they're generally 4 exercises that I use as a starting point for a lot of people, and the premise there is that we build a base doing major movements and we gradually add strength, and that's going to then transfer and help the rest of the exercise that you're going to do, whether that be cardio, HIIT exercise, or you want to go into some more strength training. So thanks for joining me on Coach's Corner today, and if you've got any questions, feel free to come up and talk to me in the gym. Thanks.